In the past year, it seems like most of the videos that we have done have been DIY house renovation type videos. And that just sort of happened organically because that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I think that many of you who have subscribed to us within the past year have the idea that our channel is a house renovation channel. It's a lot more than that. So we want to talk a little bit about the history of how we got here and where we're going. Hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple,
Live free. So, what are we all about? What is Live Simple, Live Free all about? What is our history and how do we get here? You'll see that it's a whole lot more than just house renovations. If you followed our earlier journey, many of you know this, but that we had a video about how we ended up in our tiny house, because we originally started out as Tiny House Prepper, our channel.
Yeah.
And the video in how we ended up in a tiny house talks about how in the crash of '08 we lost everything. We had 3 rental properties plus our own house. We lost all of it in the crash. And we ended up living in this tiny little house, tiny little trailer, RV, that was a dilapidated old thing.
Yes.
That had to be renovated before I could even move in.
Like as in gutted and
Yeah.
fixed, yes.
So at the time I didn't have any idea of starting a YouTube channel. I just had a couple friends on Facebook that heard me mention something about a trailer we're renovating, and they said, well, what is that? So I did a video I put it on YouTube and then posted it on Facebook just for my Facebook friends to see what I was doing. So this is our tiny house. As you can see, it's actually just a travel trailer. It's a 32-foot long travel trailer. And then it has this attached sunroom over here. So the trailer is about 250 square feet, and then the sunroom adds about another 200 square feet, total of 450. We're in the process of renovating it, and I'll show you inside in a minute. Man, this place is a mess. So when I did this video, I was still so new that I didn't even know I could put music behind this. There, that's better. Still gotta paint it. So as you can see, I did several renovation videos for my friends on Facebook, and you can also see that the camera that I was using wasn't even HD. It was like an old home movie camera from the early 1980s. It was pretty poor quality, but it got got the idea across. And at that time, we came down here to Virginia. We were living in Pennsylvania at the time. We came down here to Virginia to visit our son, and I mentioned to him that I was getting a lot more videos or a lot more views on those videos than I expected, because I only had 200 Facebook friends. How do I have 1,000 views?
We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah. And he said, well, you did a video that's popular on YouTube. People are searching it and watching it. And then he said one sentence that changed my life. He said, you know, Dad, you can make money on YouTube. And I said, what? What are you talking about? I didn't have a clue about YouTube as a business, and it really is a business. In fact, it's big business, but I didn't know any of that at the time. So he explained to me how you can earn money if people watch the ads that YouTube places in front of your videos. So I started thinking about it. I thought, that would be cool. Maybe I could make, a couple $100 extra bucks a month if I would develop a YouTube channel. So we talked about it. We decided to do that. And at that time, my YouTube channel was just my name. So we changed the name to Tiny House Prepper. And up until that point, the videos had been just me. She wasn't really involved. And I kind of dragged her along, kicking and screaming, I think. She wasn't really sure about all of this. But the first video that she did was the tour of our RV tiny house after the renovation was done and after we moved in. We have all the comforts of home here.
Hi, I am Bill's wife, Elizabeth, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we've done here. I have to admit that when we first were talking about living here, it was a little hard for me to accept. It was just kind of really such a terrible mess, and I have asthma, and I didn't like the fact that it seemed moldy, and it was really rough, but my husband has done such an incredible job of getting everything really fresh and clean and straightened up, and I'm actually really enjoying it here. Because the windows are kind of odd shapes, I went ahead and just made curtains. I should have said a lot.
She was so nervous about this first video that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned to relax and yeah, I've gotten pretty familiar with it now, but it's kind of fun to look back and see way back at the beginning.
By the way, we now have, I haven't seen the exact count recently, but somewhere over 1,100 videos that we've done in the past. Okay, the first video it did was in November of 2014.
Oh, goodness.
So that was 9 years ago. So we've done over 1,100 videos in the past 9 years. So you've gotten a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in front of the camera more, that's for sure.
Yeah. So then from there, we actually decided to do tiny house living and also prepping because we were preppers.
And it's quite a combination, actually.
So that's why we called our channel Tiny House Prepper. And I started doing a few videos about prepping. And this one you can see is actually a video with my son-in-law. Yes, we have a son-in-law. We have a daughter. Many of you don't know that, but she and her family, except for him doing a few videos with me early on, she and her family have decided not to be involved in publicly on YouTube at all, so we respect that.
Absolutely.
But here's a video of me and my son-in-law using a handsaw to cut and process firewood if there was no gas available for the chainsaw.
Chainsaw, yep.
Cool. So we continued to do some of these prepping videos, and we were doing videos about tiny house living. And like I said, at the time, we didn't really even realize what kind of big business YouTube can be, and that it's possible to earn a living from it. But we were Thrive Life consultants, Thrive Life freeze-dried food. And it was about that time that we decided to maybe start showing you a little bit about Thrive Life. So the first Thrive Life video that we did on the channel was we talked about spaghetti. Well, we had done one way earlier, but once we actually established the channel, we started talking about spaghetti sauce.
Yes.
So the first one that we did was in December of 2015, and Elizabeth is talking about spaghetti sauce.
Yep.
She and I both agree this is one of our very favorite things in the whole world are the mushrooms. Oh my goodness, they smell heavenly. I can use the pepper thing for the mushrooms. But I will enjoy putting the mushrooms in. When you get to the bottom of the can and it's just crumbly mushroom bits, you can flavor a sauce. Oh, heavenly with that stuff. Some mushrooms. So this is one of our real favorites. What does Bill call it? My triumvirate, or whatever he calls it. Mushrooms, onion, and peppers. Use them all the time.
Wow, when I look at that, I realize that it must have been around Christmas because I was wearing my Christmas sweater with my little Christmas necklace.
Well, yeah, it was in December.
Oh, that's right. You just said that.
So we started to buckle down a little bit more on prepping, and we did a whole series, How to Start Prepping. It was 3 videos that really dug a lot more into prepping, a lot more than just beans and rice and batteries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth with Tiny House Prepper.
So you look around the world, you watch the news, you see what's happening, you start to realize that we have a very unsettled future, I guess you can say. There's a lot of concern about what's going to be happening in the future, so you decide it's maybe that you need to start prepping. So where do you start? How do you do that? I've known some people who've decided to start prepping, and they'll go out and they'll buy 50 pounds of beans and rice and a couple of candles and a couple of extra batteries, and they think they're good. Well, it's a whole lot more involved than that. It's a whole lot more difficult than you might think it is.
But if you have a plan, it actually could be a whole lot easier than you think it is also. And so what we really want to try to do is to help you to come up with a plan so that you can really figure out how to go about feeling like that you're more prepared, that you are more prepper for whatever you may need in your life.
And then in July of 2016, I started something because I'd had, as our channel was starting to just kind of grow a little bit, I'd had people asking if I would be willing to do kind of a Bible study or some kind of devotion on the channel. So I thought, well, okay, let me give that a try. And if there'd just be some people that would enjoy sitting with me and maybe with a cup of tea and enjoy just getting into the Word a little bit, I thought it was pretty cool. So I started something back then. It was July 6, 2016, that I ended up calling Tea with Jesus. Hi everybody, and welcome to Tea with Jesus for this week. Last week and it's amazing to me because this last week was episode 311, and wow, that just amazes me. But it's been a tremendous joy to share God's Word with whoever wants to watch.
So you told me that when you first started it, you would have been happy if you had a dozen women watching it or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I just had some nice ladies sitting down and with me and just getting into the Word, 20 people, it would have been thrilling.
Yeah. And God has really blessed it because over the years, she's now averaging anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 views on each one.
Yeah.
It varies somewhat.
It varies a little bit, but yeah, usually like at least 1,500. Last week, the one prior to this last Sunday was about 2,000.
Yeah, so
I'm thrilled to share the Word of God with that many people. Oh my
that
goodness.
absolutely blows our minds that,
Yes.
that many people are watching her Tea with Jesus Bible study. So she releases that every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
If you're interested, and then there's a playlist where you can watch all 300 and how many videos?
This was number 311.
They're all in a playlist that you can start at the beginning if you want and watch one a day for a year.
Goodness, we when I got so sick last summer and into the fall, I had to miss for a while. So there's a gap there, but I was very glad to come back again.
Yeah. And then also in July of 2016, this happened. So, do you remember this? How absolutely amazed we were to have 5,000 subscribers?
Oh, we were so excited. It's fun to watch this again.
It absolutely blew our minds that 5,000 people in the world
would subscribe,
would be interested enough in us to be able to actually
Yes.
watch us.
I agree totally.
And that, now we have 171,000, and 5,000 seems just cute. But it was so exciting.
Yes.
And I also really appreciate when I see other young channels do the same thing. They're so excited when they hit 1,000 or 5,000, You know,
Yeah.
and they do giveaways and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I remember how exciting that was.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for them.
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
So that was about a year and a half after we started our channel that we hit 5,000 subscribers. Now, all this time I was continuing with renovation videos of the trailer. We were moved in, but we still had a lot that needed to be done. And so here I am replacing the electrical service to our trailer. It was a typical travel trailer with a 30 amp service, and we wanted to put electric heat in it for the winter because we had cold winters in Pennsylvania. We had sometimes 10 below. And so I upgraded from a 30 amp service to a 100 amp service so that we would have enough power to put in electric heat in the whole house.
If people are not necessarily really aware, this was about 250 square feet. It had a sunroom that was really only good if the weather was really nice. And we were there for a little over 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one of our first viral videos was how we survived in an RV in 10 degrees below zero.
Yeah. Yep.
And we have about, I want to say 1.5 million, I should check, about 1.5 million views on that one.
Yeah, that was the first one that blew us away because it kind of went viral.
Yeah. Now, a little bit later, we did another prepper video about cooking with a rocket stove when the power goes out. And
it's his design, and it's really a good one.
yeah, I looked at a bunch of different videos about people doing rocket stoves. I took a little from here, a little from there, and designed my own rocket stove that I think is one of the best designs. And a lot of you have said that. So this video that we did, it blew our minds. It's still getting views, even though we did it in April of 2017. It's still getting views every month, and we now have 4.8 million views on that thing.
Yeah,
and I know there are many of you who subscribed because of that channel, or because of that video.
Yeah.
In fact, probably almost half of our subscribers came through that one video.
You just never know when all of a sudden one video is going to go a lot bigger than you ever expected.
Yep. So then we continued on the tiny house theme. We did a video called "How to Live Together in a Tiny House."
Yeah, I mean, two of us in 250 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth with Tiny House Prepper. And I've never done this before. I am riding with Bill today in the semi. And we've had people asking us, what does it take in a relationship to be able to do okay living together in a really small space? So we thought, well, goodness, what better time to talk about that than when we're both riding together in the semi.
Our topic is how do you live together in a tiny house, but really the question is, how do you live together? It has more to do with marriage relationships than it does with tiny house, because we can live together in this 64 square foot sleeper cab of our truck because we have a good relationship, but a couple who doesn't have a good relationship can't live together in a 10,000 square foot mansion. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the space, it has to do with the relationship. And so that kind of launched us into doing some videos on marriage relationships as well, that we've done down through the years, talking about how to maintain a good marriage.
Yeah.
So you see, we're starting to branch out here. We're getting wider all the time in our topics.
We started feeling like it was okay just to be sharing other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. This summer we're going to we'll be married 45 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then we were still living in Virginia, in Pennsylvania, in that little trailer in the Pocono Mountains, in Pennsylvania. And I wanted to build a shed because I didn't have any place for lawnmowers and things like that. So I actually went whole hog and I built a shed that was 198 square feet. It was almost as big as our tiny house.
In some ways, I thought it'd be nicer to live in.
Yeah. But my son-in-law actually helped me with this, and it was a whole series of videos that I did about building the shed. So you can see that even though we were branching out into many different topics, we were still kind of maintaining DIY construction renovation videos along the way.
Because it's a big part of our life.
It's a big part of our life
Yeah.
because I was a professional contractor for decades, and so I can't really get away from that. But so we continued that theme as one of our many themes that we were doing, and we also started doing some music.
It was fun.
Elizabeth has written some original music, and so we had a lot of fun performing some of those for you.
Yeah.
Little climber just howled and backed away. So with him not trusting me, he got stuck there all day. He's a kitty, a kitty, a kitty in a tree. Little guy is mighty scared as he looks down at me. Kitty, kitty, kitty in a tree. I wish he would look and see that I can set him free.
A tiny child he sent to die in the shadow of a cross.
It's really been great to be able to share music. It's such a part of our lives. I mean, Bill was an Army bandsman for 24 years, and I've been a music teacher, until I had the stroke. So it's wonderful to share the music with you guys. With you guys. With you.
With yous.
With you. With y'all.
With y'all.
Yeah, I'm in the South now. With y'all.
It's been a pleasure to share our music with y'all.
Dear, dear, dear.
Did I go a little too far south?
Well,
Anyway, so we did some of our own original music, and then in the past couple of years, we play in our worship band at church, and we have for decades. But in the last couple of years, we've also started sharing some of our worship music from our church.
yeah.
And then there's my father,
Pop.
Pop. Yeah. Now he was living alone in a senior apartment building, and so here's a little bit about Pop.
But you know, today we have television, and it's hard for a circus to match television. I can see on television people swinging and midgets. And
Yeah.
before they had television, the circus was amazing. All kinds of
Yeah,
new things, and wow, look at that.
yeah. I still think there's something to be said for experiencing it in real life.
Something what?
To be said for experiencing it in real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Neat.
Are you taking me?
Yes, I am. I'm filming you. Oh, I'm so glad that you had all that stuff before you found out, so you weren't being silly.
Yeah.
Because I try and take a picture of a grandchild. As soon as as soon as he knows his picture is being taken, he turns silly. I'm glad I got you natural for a while.
I think it's good you have that so you can laugh.
Oh yes, absolutely.
5 years from now, you can look and say, look at this. Really weird.
So as you can see, he was quite a character.
Yeah.
And he was living alone in his senior building, and it was about a half hour away from where we lived. And we spent basically every Sunday with him. We'd go to church in the morning, and then we'd spend all day Sunday afternoon with him. And we only saw him that one time per week because he lived a half hour away.
Yeah, I would sometimes go and just kind of do stuff with him or check on him.
Well, sure.
But we basically always made sure that we were there with him all afternoon on Sunday.
Every Sunday, and then we would, of course, take him to doctor's appointments and various different things like that.
Yeah.
But there came a point in his life where we realized that he was probably no longer capable of living alone. He was getting up into his upper 80s,
Yeah.
and he was in a senior apartment, but it wasn't a assisted care where they had nurses and all that kind of stuff. He was just living alone there. But
He started getting confused, and he would double up on his medicine and stuff.
But we had a problem
Yeah.
because we didn't have room in our tiny house.
Not hardly. There wasn't room to hang a hammock to put the porch. I mean,
No.
oh my goodness.
So we didn't know what we were going to do. We were looking at, do we try to rent a house? Do we buy something else? We don't know if we could afford anything else at the time. Houses in the Poconos were really expensive at that time. And so we came down here to Virginia to visit our son, and there was a house down at the bottom of his driveway that I'd seen before. And we were just sitting there on the porch, and he pointed at that house, and he said, "You see that house?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I just bought that." "You what? You didn't even tell me you were thinking about it?" And I said, "What, do you have renters in there?" He said, "Yeah, I've got renters in there." But he said, "Dad, I bought that for you guys because I know eventually you're going to need it."
It was incredible.
That just absolutely blew us away. Now, he didn't give it to us.
No.
When we moved in, we ended up buying it from him, but it absolutely blew us away. And about 6 months later, we figured, okay, so we're going to move to Virginia at some time in the future. But about 6 months later, it came pretty critical with my father, and we had to do something because we had to have some place for him to live. And it just so happened that the renters that were in the renters that were in this house gave notice and moved out. So Barry said, "Well, now's the time." He called me on November 1st, and he said, "They'll be out on November 15th. You can have the house if you want it." Wow, that was like lightning decision. Okay, we're moving to Virginia.
Right.
So we moved into this house so that we would have a place to bring my father to live with us.
Yep.
So we are going to be buying that house from him for what he paid for it. So, long story short, we're going to be moving to Virginia. And we're moving into a house that is about 900 square feet. It's not a tiny house, but it is a small house.
Yeah.
900 square foot ranch with 3 bedrooms, enough room for my dad to be with us, and then the 3rd bedroom will become storage for us instead of that big huge shed that we've got.
Yeah.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill,
And I'm Elizabeth with Live Simple, Live Free.
and we want to welcome you to our new house.
There it is. Yep.
So that's how we ended up living and moving to Virginia after 5 years in that tiny house.
Yeah, it was a little over 5 years.
So we moved to Virginia, and we've now been here, can you believe it, 3.5 years?
Wow. And this house isn't real big. I think that before we started the addition, it was like 900 square feet.
Yeah.
But boy, did it feel like a mansion.
Yeah.
I have a table and I have places for pictures on the wall. Pretty exciting.
So my father moved in with us. He had a room of his own down here. We had
Yeah.
plenty of room for all of us.
Yeah.
He was with us for about 1.5 years
Yeah.
through most of COVID, actually,
Which we were very glad he wasn't in Pennsylvania for COVID. Yeah.
until he eventually passed when he was 89 years old.
Yeah, almost 90.
Yeah,
It was within a
just-
few weeks.
A few weeks of being 90.
Yeah.
So we were very happy to be able to provide for him in his last 1.5 years
Yeah.
some company, because he'd been living alone ever since my mother died. And I think he really enjoyed it here with us. And we were very glad to be able to do that for him.
Yeah.
So then when we moved in here, we really wanted to, continuing our prepping theme, we really wanted to get more into some gardening, which we'd never done before.
Oh, I wanted to so bad.
Our little property in Pennsylvania wasn't really big enough for much of a garden, and what was there was completely covered with trees all the way around that were not on our property, so we couldn't even cut them down.
Yeah, it was a 50 by 100 foot lot that had everything on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we moved down here to Virginia, our property here is 1.33 acres, and it was mostly open grass, no trees.
Love it.
And she was desperately wanting to garden, but because of arthritis in her knees and stuff, she couldn't really kneel down to garden much.
Right, and if I have to bend down too much, it messes up the stroke balance
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I built some raised bed gardens for her.
Yes. Oh, I have so enjoyed them. I've had quite a bit of stuff growing in those last few years. Now, last summer was sad because I got really sick, and everything that I planted was hard to keep up with, and Bill was really busy. But I still absolutely love them. I've got asparagus now that's really healthy coming up, and I love having those beds because I can actually get out there and garden.
So I started the raised beds the summer after we moved in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the summer after that, which was 2 years ago, we decided we need a little bit more room in here, which is kind of funny after living in a tiny house, 250 square feet, that 900 square feet wasn't enough. But the main problem was that our eating kitchen area was so tiny. We had our washer and dryer in there.
Yeah.
There just wasn't quite enough room. So we decided to build this small 100 square foot addition that would give us room to expand a little bit into a utility room, put our washer and dryer out there, also put a half bath out there because this house only had one bathroom.
Right. It's nice to be able to have a half bath, especially when you have company. And just some storage shelves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what the house looked like when we first bought it. And then a year after we bought it, I built the raised beds, and then I started on the addition. And you can see the addition here now. It's finished on the outside, but it's been 2 years since I started the addition, and the inside is still not finished because I've had numerous delays that I'll talk about in a minute. Many of you have been asking what's happening with the addition. Well, that's going to be an ongoing project, and now that we're back from Florida, I can start working on it again. So you can see here how we are kind of continuing our home renovation construction theme as one of our many themes. But then something happened last summer. I was working on the addition kind of over the winter. I got it closed in very fast, and then over the winter I didn't do a whole lot with it. I was just about to get started with it last summer, and Barry, our son, came to us. And he said, how would you like to be involved in a partnership with me renovating and flipping a house? Well, he had done many in the past like that.
Yeah.
And I was really kind of almost done with construction. But two things happened. One is that he needed our financial help to be able to do that. And we were able to do that. But also, we had a goal to buy a house in Florida as a snowbird home. And so we decided to go into this project partly to help him and partly because some of the profit that we could use to get from that would help with buying the house in Florida. Hey, guess what we just bought? Hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free.
And we're Barry and Molly with Empty Hammock.
And we just bought this new house.
It's our next investment project.
It's going to be a group effort.
And we're going to take you along.
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Now obviously we need to start with the... So we went into that headlong, and I was working almost like a real contractor again, which was hard on my body, but...
And Barry was putting in unbelievable hours.
I didn't work the long hours that I used to. I was only able to manage about 5 hours a day, and I was done. But I did it almost every day for 5 months straight.
Yeah.
And we renovated that house. The plywood is rotted back maybe about 6 inches. So that's...
Shelf in there. I've been picturing, this will be all counter, of course, and we'll sink here. I come in with groceries, I can walk in with groceries.
Now, it is a huge, gorgeous house. They rescued it. I mean, it's a beautiful place. I mean, we're talking 4 garages. It's a gorgeous place. way more than we would ever want. But that thing was just fixed from stem to stern. Everything was redone. Beautiful.
So what you saw, if you watched our channel last summer, was probably 90% of the videos that we did were about renovation, just because that's what was happening in our lives.
Yeah.
So we were able to finish the house, and we got a contract on it the first weekend that we put it on the market, which was absolutely amazing. We closed on that in early December or mid-December of 2022,
Right,
just this past
Right before last Christmas. Yeah,
and
2022.
we had been looking for a house in Florida, and about a week after we closed on the house up here that we flipped, we were able to purchase our second home in Florida using the money from the profit as well as a lot of other savings and stuff that we had.
Okay, guys, after a lot of discussion and a lot of prayer, we want to share a decision with you.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free. Well, guys,
You see it?
we did it. We put a contract on it, and it has been accepted.
Isn't that incredible?
And so many of you, that's where you've come in and joined us, either during the renovation of the flip house or the renovation of the Florida house, because it did need some work as well.
Yeah.
So, and also along the lines I didn't mention, but one of our topics that we started doing was debt freedom. How to get out of debt, how to stay out of debt. And so we have basically been able to buy this house in Florida, mostly cash, with just a very small mortgage on it, that the plan was to pay it off very quickly.
And it worked exactly like it was supposed to.
Is this the time to tell them?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
just the house is paid for.
All right, yeah. So we had a plan there. One of the things we say is we don't want to
We don't promise future earnings.
promise away future earnings.
Yes.
But we put this little mortgage on this house knowing that we were going to get a fairly substantial tax return. And we got that tax return about a month or 6 weeks ago, and we paid that house, and the house in Florida is now paid in full. Hallelujah.
Yes.
And we were able to do that because we live debt free, and we were able to take all the money from mortgages and car payments that other people would put into payments and put it into a bank account and save towards it. And then we used the proceeds from the flip house that we did to add to that, and then to be able to buy that house outright.
Yeah. So it's very, very wonderful to us that we have no debt whatsoever again.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that small mortgage was supposed to be very temporary, and praise the Lord, it was very temporary.
Yeah,
and
we
it's
only
done.
made how many payments on it?
Two.
Two payments on it?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was more than that. Three
Yeah.
or four, wasn't it?
Okay, I guess overall we might have made three, and the fourth was coming up, and then I was able to pay off the loan.
Right. So we went into it with the mortgage, having a plan to pay it off within 3 months, and we did.
Of money that was coming in, not that we were going to have to earn later.
Yeah, it was.
That was really important.
It wasn't money that we were still hoping to earn. It was money that we had already earned and we knew was coming in, and that's why we went ahead and did that.
Yeah.
So,
Very grateful, man. Whew.
so that's kind of where we came from, and you see that we've covered many different topics,
Yeah.
including renovations. But for some of you who have just joined us recently, like I've said several times, you have the idea that our channel is basically about home renovations. It's not. It's about prepping. It's about music. It's about Bible study. It's about
Oh, good grief! I've done quilting and we just kind of try to share our lives with you. That's why sometimes it's heavy on renovation, because that's what's really going on. But there's a lot of other things that we really enjoy getting to share with you. Some travel, different places that we've been able to go. It just kind of just sharing our lives.
Right. It started out as a very topic-specific tiny house and prepping. It's now turned more into just sort of a daily vlog of our lives and all the things that we do.
We still are very serious about being prepared for emergencies. We're still serious about debt freedom and all that can mean. And so, the whole idea of trying to live as simply as possible and not get deeply in debt gives such a freedom. Now, I know it doesn't seem like we live simply because we have two houses, but this has been a very carefully planned out solution to the fact that I can no longer be here in the winter. And now that the house is paid for, oh my goodness, there's a few things we've had to get situated, but how simple could it be when I have to get out of the cold because I can't breathe? We get in the car and we drive down and unlock the house, and we are in Florida.
In our own house.
In our own house.
Yeah.
No prep or reservations necessary. No, yeah.
We started getting a lot of comments when we bought that house. A lot of comments of people saying, well, so much for simple living. You now own 2 houses, you own cars, you own a motorcycle. I think the misconception there is that when they think simple, they're thinking minimalistic. That's not. Our idea of simple is you don't buy anything that you can't afford. You only buy the things that you need that you can pay cash for. You don't buy a whole bunch of stuff on credit and make your life all complicated trying to pay all those payments and all that kind of stuff.
No, just
Yeah, we have 2 houses. Yeah, we have 2 vehicles plus my motorcycle. But it's a simple life. How many bills do we have? Just utilities basically, and cell phone and
insurance,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't have to sit down and try to figure out how to pay all of these different credit cards, but can we pay the mortgage this month and all that kind of stuff.
Car payments and
It's much simpler to manage and to survive that way.
And I have to honestly also say, we had that beautiful RV. It was a great guest area. Oh my goodness! But when it turned out we weren't going to be able to use it like we thought, well then we don't need it anymore. So we sold it.
Yeah, so that was another thing. We sold the RV to put towards the purchase of the house as well.
But it's just, if you don't need something, you don't have to have it.
All of our finances have been focused like a laser on paying that house off, to the point of our old car that you just saw that had a problem. It's because we didn't want to buy a new one or a newer one because we were putting all that money into buying the house. That was our main goal. Now that that's done, then we can eventually start thinking about replacing a vehicle.
But we're going to save for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
one other thing. Okay, I didn't mention the addition here on this house. The utility room still isn't finished. The outside is finished. The inside is not. And many of you have said, when are you going to get back to the addition? Well, I couldn't very well do that when I was working on the flip house that we were doing, or when I was in Florida. Now that we're back here and all those other projects are done, I will be getting back onto the addition pronto. I really have a goal of finishing it up and being done with it.
Yeah.
So you will see some of those coming up. But my plan is that once that's done, my renovation videos, my renovation life is done. I'm 66 years old, and I'm just time to lay all that aside.
Right. There'll be stuff he'll be fixing. You just watch.
Yeah, because it's in my blood. I can't seem to get away from it, but that's my goal. So that's where we're at, where we've been. That's where we're at. And going forward, we're still going to continue a lot of the topics that we've done in the past that we've kind of gotten away from because of all of this renovation stuff we've been doing.
Yeah.
So we've sort of morphed into a renovation channel. We want to slowly morph back into a broader channel like we used to have.
Yeah. So hopefully there'll be, some good variety. We'll still be sharing about some really neat ideas that that we've been able to come up with, especially in terms of being prepared in case there would be an emergency. We're looking at a lot of different things that are good ideas for that possibility. And and
we'll continue to do travel videos as we go back and forth between here and Florida. We hope to do some excursions in Florida, camping and things like that over the winter. Also, once again this year we have earned the trip from Thrive Life. So in January we're going to Costa Rica for a week.
It amazes me.
So that'll be really cool.
And I'm going to be doing well. I couldn't go to Cancun because I was too sick. But I'm going to go to Costa Rica. I'm doing a lot better.
That's right. So there it is. This is a longer video, and I'm glad that you have stuck with us.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there.
But we appreciate you all so much.
Oh, more than we can say.
Yeah. So.
And your comments and the love you share and the prayers and the ideas. What an amazing family to be able to share our lives with.
Yeah. And I see our battery's almost dead. We talked so long, so we need to very quickly sign off.
All righty.
So thanks for watching.
Live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
Yes, and we love you guys. We will, of course, see you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.